The JLP government came to office in 2016. No less than 8 ministers have been forced to resign or have been otherwise sanctioned for a range of serious breaches, and Jamaica continues to rank poorly on international corruption indices. That is the tradition. The failure. Mr. Speaker.
Members.
Listen, if you ever wanted proof that Jamaican politics is at boiling point, this is it. What we just saw inside the Parliament of Jamaica was not a calm debate. It wasn't a polite disagreement. It was tension. It was interruption. It was accusation. On one side, opposition leader Mark Golding. On the other side, Prime Minister Andrew Holness. And when the word failure started echoing through Parliament, you could feel the temperature change. Today, we are breaking this down properly.
The JLP government came to office in 2016. No less than 8 ministers have been forced to resign or have been otherwise sanctioned for a range of serious breaches, and Jamaica continues to rank poorly on international corruption indices. The move in 2020 to take away the chairmanship of most parliamentary committees from the opposition has weakened that mechanism of holding government to account. The maneuvers to delay the tabling of reports from the Auditor General and the Integrity Commission remains a contentious matter, especially since the legal opinion on which this delay is purportedly based has been withheld from parliamentarians and the wider public. When the former Speaker was forced to resign as a result of an Integrity Commission investigation, the move to replace her with the wife of the Prime Minister, so that the head of Parliament is now the spouse of the head of government, really does not sit well with the tradition that the Speaker must act independently of the government of the day. The Speaker is intended to be independent and must act independently of the government of the day. That is the tradition. That is the tradition. The failure. Mr. Speaker.
Members.
The so-called illicit 6 MPs. The failure to disclose the identity of the so-called illicit 6 MPs who are under investigation by the Integrity Commission for illicit enrichment remains.
Member. this time, there's my number.
Let's be clear about what this was. Mark Golding stood up and made a very clear, serious claim that since the Jamaica Labour Party took office in 2016, multiple ministers have resigned or been sanctioned. He referenced corruption rankings, the removal of opposition chairs from parliamentary committees in 2020, delays in Auditor General and Integrity Commission reports, the illicit 6 MPs under investigation, concerns about parliamentary independence. These are not small accusations. These are governance-level accusations. And when you make those inside Parliament, you expect fireworks. And that's exactly what happened. When Golding said failure repeatedly, you could hear members shouting back, "Failure, go outside, fire." That chamber became chaotic. But here is what stood out to me. Instead of a calm rebuttal, there was visible agitation. And that tells you something important. Because in politics, perception is everything. When the public sees shouting instead of structured rebuttal, people start asking questions. Why so defensive? Why so reactive? Now, to be fair, Parliament everywhere can get loud. That's not unique to Jamaica. But when corruption and accountability are being discussed, the country is watching more closely. This is bigger than Golding versus Holness. This is about systems. Golding's argument centered on oversight mechanisms, parliamentary committees, Auditor General reports, Integrity Commission investigations. When oversight bodies are delayed or disrupted, trust erodes. And once public trust starts eroding, rebuilding it is hard. Now supporters of Prime Minister Andrew Holness will argue the government has maintained economic stability. Jamaica has improved in certain economic indicators. Allegations are not convictions. And that's a fair counterpoint. But the opposition's job is to question. And when questions are met with anger instead of detailed answers, it fuels the narrative. Golding also referenced the change in speaker after the previous speaker resigned following an Integrity Commission investigation. His argument that the speaker must be independent of the government. And when perception suggests closeness to the executive branch, critics say it weakens tradition. Now, whether you agree or disagree, the point is this. In a democracy, optics matter. Independence must not only exist, it must be seen to exist. This might be the most explosive part. Golding questioned why the identities of the 6 MPs reportedly under Integrity Commission investigation had not been disclosed. Now legally, investigations must follow due process. But politically, secrecy fuels suspicion. And that's where this becomes dangerous territory. Because if the public believes politicians are being protected, trust drops further. Let's talk about energy. Golding came with a structured argument. Holness and government MPs reacted strongly and emotionally. You could hear, "Go outside," "Fire," "Failure." This wasn't calm governance energy. That was pressure energy. And pressure reveals tension. This wasn't just noise. This was a signal. A signal that the political divide is deep. Corruption narratives are going away. Parliament is becoming more confrontational. And in election cycles, moments like this resurface. Clips like this don't disappear. They get replayed. Now let me be fair. No administration is perfect. Every government faces allegations. Every opposition amplifies them. The real question isn't who shouted louder. The real question is, are systems working? Are institutions independent? Are investigations transparent? That's what the Jamaican people care about. At the end of the day, this wasn't just about failure. It was about trust. Trust in Parliament. Trust in leadership. Trust in accountability. When Parliament erupts like this, it shows democracy is alive. But it also shows democracy is under strain. Jamaica deserves transparency. Jamaica deserves calm leadership. Jamaica deserves accountability from both sides. In moments like this, they force the country to pay attention. Let me know in the comments. Was Golding justified, or was this political theater? Because one thing is certain, that chamber was not quiet, and neither is the country.